Say hi to the Twitch community, John. Oh wow.
What's up, guys? What's up, Twitch? Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's better. There we go. All right,
Let's
all
go
the
with that.
cameras are lined up.
Nice.
I don't know. I mean, we don't really have a lot of people watch it live, but we actually get a fair amount of views on the VODs and the clips, and we're using the clips to put those directly on TikTok and YouTube Shorts and stuff. So
That's awesome, man.
this is
That's awesome.
this is the beginning of something pretty amazing. Garrett's coming on board with White Rabbit also to superpower this content pipeline, and he's done some really awesome stuff. But I'm excited just to get into like discussion with you today because I've been meaning to bring you into the Triba ecosystem on a little bit of a deeper level. So I don't know how many of these guys know you, but I'm sure they've heard of you at this point.
Yes. Well, I appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, Sam, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to chat today. And I think the way I was kind of thinking about this, and you can tell me if it's a little bit more guided, but I'd love to do almost like an AMA style. I mean, free conversation. We could talk. I mean, I hosted a lunch and learn this afternoon, and I just prepped everybody at the beginning of it by talking about toys from the 1970s and how that related to sci-fi, TV shows, and everybody was like, "What does this have to do with marketing?" And I was like, "Nothing. I just really like toys."
That's fine. We can do it. We'll do it open style. I'm just setting up the cameras here so that I can see everybody on the stream. If you want to turn your camera on, you can. You don't have to. But I think Garrett said he'd be coming, and I don't know. We'll probably get some people trickle in. So I guess we could just start off by taking it back to the beginning. When did your father and mother meet? No, I'm just kidding.
Sam, I'm not sure. I wish I was there.
Yeah, no, let's not go that far back. All right, let's take it a little bit forward. So John was born. You're a little bit older than me, John, but our families actually knew each other back in the day from the NCFCA National Speech and Debate tournaments. He knew my brother and sister as well. They're all nationally ranked. I'm the only one who hasn't done any of that on the national level.
So you really haven't made much of yourself.
I haven't made much of it. Yeah, I'm the odd one out in my family. It was then Ben got into stuff down in North Carolina, and I was just kind of left in that transitional period. Anyways, enough about me. This is not about me. This is about John. So John, what was your experience back then, and how do you think being in the NCFCA and all that played into your business development?
Well, that's definitely going back a lot farther than I I've heard in a long time. But no, I mean, I appreciate that intro. Sam and I guess we have similar background, and I think one of the things that we've always shared was our love of history, antiquities, and then obviously really developing community around what I think are strong collaborative conversations. I think that's really what I would say is some of that connection is that the NCFCA was always around us either doing, the improvisation work that we did with different sketches and skits that we were a part of, then the debate side, which was always developing conversation. I've always been fascinated by that. And I think that definitely just connects into love of building community. And I think, we can chat about I have two organizations. One is a digital advertising agency, and obviously we help companies tell their stories and their brand messages more effectively. We have clients across the country. We do all kinds of different services for them in the advertising space. But more recently, and as you can see behind me, I really wanted to start pursuing a passion that I have in Web3, blockchain game development, and really what I would consider Web3 community creation as well. And that's how I got to, and for those of you who don't know, that's how I got connected with Sam. Garrett is a good friend of ours. Garrett had worked on one of our projects here at Omega that we're in the incubation stage for on the gaming side. And he said, "There's this really weird dude you have to meet." He gave me a warning, and I was like, I've met a lot of people. Yeah, that's what he said. He was just no, this dude's a little strange. And I was like, I'll take a dinner. So we went to this dinner, and I was like, wait a minute, I just got to ask you a question. Are you related to these folks who had the same last name as you that were in this part of Pennsylvania? And he was like, "That's my father." And I was like,
"Dad."
Yeah. So it kind of connected that way, which I think is a testament to how organic communities really are closer than we might think. I think that's something that I begin to learn in especially this Web3 space, and kind of, incorporating Discord, et cetera, as like these new kind of tools. The folks that you may have had conversations with or have heard of probably know a friend of a friend, and that community is a lot tighter and closer than you might think, which I think is really cool for two things. First of all, building and developing your community is really that easy. And second, I think it makes it a lot easier for us to share like-minded, activities and collaborations and projects with people that we really, enjoy conversations with at the heart, right? So, that's a little bit about how Sam and I met. And, like I said, I mean, tonight I was thinking we could just kind of do an AMA, and love to field any questions you guys have on really anything we're working on. But I really love what I'm starting to see. And Sam, I'm getting better at it. I'm starting to figure out how to use Discord effectively. And I'm
I love
beginning,
it.
I'm beginning, I'm beginning to realize that there are some collaboration opportunities in terms of how you develop your community through Discord that you don't have on other platforms, with all the noise that tends to be on. I mean, obviously, it's platforms that we help our clients with all the time. So it's not like, I still got to use Facebook and Google, et cetera. But I see something happening on Discord, and I'm starting to become a believer in what you're doing. And maybe that's just because Tribe is so great and you're doing it right.
Oh,
But I really do like the system.
oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, I think it's the perfect platform to get voices out there that are about community building, and that's kind of the purpose of this whole thing. So, just a shout out to our latest follower on Twitch, Nickor2022. Welcome. I don't know if that's somebody already in Triba or if not, but like we get people very selectively who find out about Triba business community because they're searching for a business network. They're searching for belonging and trying to find other businesses that are doing it in this manner, this fashion. So it's very interesting to me to see exactly where our users come from. Like I ask people, and Pero's probably got some good data on this. Like, where do we find Discord members? Some people
Yeah.
just Google business Discord community. Like they're like, I like Discord and gaming, but I also am into business and entrepreneurship, and that's how we get a lot of people. Like interesting, or that, or articles people are writing about community. Either way,
Mm-hmm.
it's story based, and it's much more authentic than any paid advertising we could do. We don't do any paid advertising for the community.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. And I think you're talking about what I've noticed is that while Discord started as like a gaming or gamers community, obviously that fits into the mission and vision of Omega. I'm starting to realize that it's really becoming more of a tech community focused around collaboration for a variety of different, either projects or community groups, et cetera. And what I mean by that is, like, Jay, you introduced me to John, and he's an Unreal Engine 5 developer. And that skill set is highly valuable for clients that we would work with. So it's more of like, well, would I just search randomly on Upwork, for someone who can execute these types of services? Or, by getting engaged with Sam, becoming part of Triba, Sam introduced me to Jay, Jay introduces me to John, and now I know that this thread is always going to be coming back to the Triba community, and to a process where I trust Sam, now I trust Jay, now I trust John because I trust Jay and I trust Sam. And it's like, well, that's somebody I would want to do business with, or I'd want to engage with. I would feel like that barrier of trying to meet someone that I've never met before in a different community, especially in terms of collaboration on projects, is just absolutely invaluable. That's how I would prefer to make connections. And the last point to this, Sam, I think this is really cool because we did our first um, co-branded Triba event in person. I actually think Discord is the only, or maybe the best, representative system for how we're doing this, that mimics that peer-to-peer, human-to-human networking
Right.
interaction, and I love that.
Yeah, I think so too. It's really not even just a bunch of people. I would define it as a metaverse collective on Discord.
Hmm.
It's just a bunch of people who are in that tech space, not all of them are just techies, right? There's a lot of
Yeah,
furries and and all sorts of artists and creatives and sensors and intuitives. It's a really giant collective of different kinds of people, which is what makes it so incredible. It's like you get this collaboration across types and across
oh yeah.
sectors of business, like design and development. You see businesses developing way faster than traditional businesses because they're operating agile, flexibly on Discord with their community right there, giving feedback the whole time.
I oh, go ahead.
Instead of a mastermind, you could call it a maestro mind.
A
I like
maestro
that.
mind.
Nice. Yeah, I mean
That's where that came from.
that's a great way to think. I like what you're saying about like how it almost I mean, obviously, with what we're doing and my proponency of blockchain technology and Web3, I'm all about decentralization. And in a decentralized economy of thought, we're able to bring together all these different folks that have different perspectives. And I think that the Triba community and these types of communities allow for much faster feedback than when it's just coming from a centralized source. I mean, I would rather fail quickly on a certain idea rather than go all the way down the path of building out even an expansion to a gaming project where
Right.
the community can tell us very quickly what's important to them. I mean, I would rather the community helps us design and develop a gaming track for a
Right.
game we're creating than we kind of top down think we know what they want and then it fails miserably, right? I mean, that's I think the beauty of being able to bring together these types of communities. But again, like, yeah, we can have a ton of people on a call like this tonight and it can be highly interactive. And you're just not going to get that necessarily, blasting something out on Facebook.
Right. And you see that in VR already. I'm getting a
Hmm.
little bit of echo feedback on your mic. Maybe just turn the volume down a few notches because I talk really loud.
Is that better?
Yeah, we'll see. It sounds like it. But anyways, I've seen that in VR already, and it's much more obvious in VR because you're physically there. Turn your head and you see so and so standing beside you. And as opposed to, Amp just lurking in the background, you don't really feel like you're there with Amp unless he turns on his camera because he doesn't really says anything. So that kind of just like it's the initial phase of it. But he's such a cool guy. Like once you're there with Amp, like you've experienced him, you're gonna like talk about him and want to like seek him out more. And everybody who has, a relationship with him feels the same way. He's very good at getting to know people. But you wouldn't do that
Oh
like
yeah.
he wouldn't do that over text very well. Like it just wouldn't happen as easily. And it's this next step is VR, but we have millions of people already on Discord, and VR is still an early adoption. So it's like first we got to get people into this idea of hanging out in spaces, coming somewhere like Discord, being physically here and present. Like Chris is obviously here, even if he daydreams, and Jay might be playing some game on the side. He might be playing Call of Duty for all I know, but he's here, and the fact that he's attended is more important to me than somebody reading and opening an email or something.
100%. You're talking about authentic connections, and I think one of the huge advantages of a platform like this is that we're also not being marketed to. I mean, unless I join a server and somebody's continuously pestering me with messages, which Sam was like, "Here's how you shut those off."
Yeah.
This is actually about authenticity. Like, again, if Sam and I are having a conversation, you guys are dropping in, and then you're able to rewatch that later, and we're having a really cool chat about something, and it's a drop in, drop out. It reduces the risk of you having to either travel or be in a place where it's uncomfortable, or you have all these reduced barriers to entry through something like Discord. I mean, think about it this way. The way I was thinking
It's
about
kind of a
this, and
trade-off. It's like there's less physical barriers, but there's technological barriers for age. It's like age restricted
could
almost.
be, could be, yeah. I mean,
Age, equipment, connection. Yeah.
Connection bandwidth. It's tough
yeah,
sometimes, but
I agree with that. I think though, as we continue to move forward, just collectively, I think those things will.
oh yeah,
I mean, that's with any new technology, right?
yeah,
But Sam, you'll probably find this interesting. I'm born in a year where I probably look a lot younger than I am. But anyway, the point of that is, I remember when this type of technology didn't even exist. Like, I mean, we're talking, when I went to my freshman year of college, I don't even, I mean, Facebook was out for like maybe a year. People had to have a college level ID to even get on Facebook. I don't know if people remember that, but that Facebook
That's
was built for college students and specific college
yeah,
communities.
yeah.
And my point to that is, I remember conversations like what we're having right now happening in and on the college campuses or in a dorm room lounge and stuff like that. And there was a lot of authentic back and forth idea sharing. And I can't tell you how many startups I saw come out of those types of, internal communities where if you just happened to be on a dorm with a couple of guys that had a really cool idea, oh, and yeah, it was 2010 and one of those idiots was mining Bitcoin, yeah, well, he's in the Bahamas now. But I knew those guys, and I had those conversations with those guys, and there were, those were the guys that we were like, "What's he doing in there? There's smoke coming out of his PC." But like, I see that in this way, kind of a return towards instead of us being on these advertising platforms to have these types of conversations, we're having realistic connections with purpose and intention, right? Like, why do we want to have a conversation with someone? Why do we want to engage? I see a lot of upside and a lot of benefit. I mean, sure, there's some downsides for specific tech, but a lot of upside for creating authentic engagements to really move projects forward, or even just better yourself as an individual. And Sam, Triba does that a lot with all of the different workshops you guys run.
Yeah, man, we got stuff every day of the week. I'm gonna clip that honestly because that was a great little snippet there. If I ever go quiet for a minute while I'm doing this, I'm probably on the other screen clipping until we get a consistent process here. But we've been getting some great clips because we're streaming on Twitch, and we actually have 3 viewers. I don't know who's doing that, but good on you guys. Give me some chatter in the chat if you're watching on Twitch.
I haven't been playing Call of Duty. I have, however, been reorganizing my contacts. Sam, you win the award for being the most connected.
No way.
Super connected to my network. Yeah,
what?
Yeah. Check this out. I can show you a graph of this.
Oh, let's see it. This is so good. Entertainment intermission.
Oh, we're getting to see Jay's stream.
He's advertised. He actually gets paid for this software. No, I'm just kidding. I guarantee you he makes nothing off of that.
The amount I shill it, I should get.
I know, right?
What program is this?
So this is Sam Mulehabda right here.
The Sam program.
He's connected me with 5 so far. 5.
Look at that!
People.
My nebulous is growing. All right, now I want to do this even more.
Those are my contacts for now. At least that I've properly documented. I'm trying to rework some of the systems here, but yeah.
Hey,
Sam,
I need this, and I don't know why I need it, but I need it. Like, I gotta have.
Yeah, we all need this visual representation.
What program is it? It is Obsidian. It is not supposed to be a CRM, but I use it as a CRM because screw you. I'm gonna use my tools. No. Obsidian is it's advertised as a second.
Because why? Because screw you.
It's like Notion or Rome.
This is definitely an R-rated business stream.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it's way more than just like. Notion wishes it could be what Obsidian is because Obsidian, it's simple, and that's what it's all about. All it is just markdown files, and then you can do whatever you want with it. You can add in crazy plugins that you can attach maps and actually like create plots and maps. You can automate task creation.
Wow.
So every day I get automatically generated tasks for the day based off of the day of the week. I can connect everything, and I can visualize that connection with what you saw with the graph view. There's unlimited potential in what you can do and what can be done with it, and I
just say unlimited potential.
Yes, unlimited potential, because it's all self-hosted, right? It's all running on your own machine.
Sounds like me talking about Notion.
Does that mean
unlimited potential?
That Notion can't. Does that mean your workbooks are secure? I guess. You're not hosted on their server at all.
I feel like we're getting a little off topic here, but that's cool. That's cool.
I'm not off topic, actually.
This is not brought to you by Obsidian.
It's not off topic because I.
But hey, Obsidian, if you want to contact
recognize
us.
that. Sam, shut up.
Okay, sorry.
Notion is something that you should be thinking about their ability to let you private and stuff like that. So I think it's important.
So how Obsidian, the sync program works if you want to sync it across like your PC and your phone. They also have a published version if you want it public.
Right, but that would be like backing it up, right? Like
Yeah,
Notion, you're accessing their server constantly while you use it, so it leaves it vulnerable.
And not only that, but Obsidian double encrypts it. So not only is there a password for your own account, but there's a password. You guys are just laughing right now. But there's also a password.
Oh, Jay, I love it. You totally just took over Sam's
I'm gonna shut it down. I'm gonna go back to.
No, I'm cool with it. Go.
9 out of 10 people who watch this will probably check out Obsidian now.
I know. I should get an affiliate link or something from them.
I'm gonna take this video and send it to Obsidian and be like, "Hey, we'll market this software
Send
for
in
you."
their Discord.
The unintentional commercial actors award.
Exactly. We're showing people like that's why you can't pay for advertising as good as Joe Rogan's show, because he's literally the epitome of that kind of community marketing. He's that spokesperson for a whole group of followers, and they source him like, hey, interview so-and-so, interview so-and-so, we like them. And he talks to them and gets the truth out, basically, whatever they have to share, and then, you know, that's basically their marketing. Like, you cannot pay for advertising as good as that content. And it's the same way, like, you couldn't pay for an ad. If we had 1,000 viewers a month who watched our clips or our recaps, and Jay was doing that, like, you could, they would be nuts to not want to hop on like a micro influencer campaign where you have a bunch of small communities promoting your service. Like, that is the whole essence of affiliate and ambassador programs. Jay does it very well. He doesn't even get paid to do it half the time. He's just always talking about stuff. We'll talk.
No, I mean, Sam, I think
He's very thorough with how he explains it.
Yeah. Last pass.
if I could just build on what you said, Sam. I mean, I think especially because, like I said, I mean, you know, my first startup is an advertising agency where we help clients in a more traditional, you know, Web 2 space. And we'll, you know, you and I are working on projects together, and obviously, you know, that's what we were recommending when looking at a couple of client projects is, you know, doing traditional ads. Let's say even for this one that we're about to start, it's probably not going to get them the bang for the buck that they need. They have to develop human connections of brand ambassadors. And what better way to do that than by developing those human peer-to-peer connections, giving an incentive for people to be a part of the, you know, part of this whole community, utilizing Discord, utilizing even some existing channels like an Instagram or Facebook, you know, Messenger, etc., where we're trying to really make it personal. Any brand should be considering. I mean, look, I mean, the gaming projects that we're developing as well. I mean, I had a conversation earlier with a connection from Jay that, you know, we're chatting about, okay, what happens when you develop and deliver a game, but you don't build a community for it? You might have an instant drop, you might make some cash on it, but then all of a sudden you've got a 3-week run and there's nothing left of your concept. So how do you develop something beyond that and get players coming back, not just for some instant gratification, but then how does that community serve them? And it's all about service, right? So all the players of that game obviously share at least one thing in common. They bought the game. They engaged. So now there's got to be more things that make them like-minded across the board, because they're already in a certain bucket. So these traditional advertising or marketing ideas connect to Web3, gaming, social, Triba, all the things that we're doing here together. And I like what you're saying there, because I think that that's something that brands need to consider. Yes, there is no better advertising than being on Joe Rogan. So why wouldn't you try to create that or recreate that even in a small targeted community that's going to be highly engaged for your product or service?
Exactly.
I think there's an interesting nexus point that we could look at or create between Triba, 4Games, and yeah, I lost my track of thought. But the basically what you were talking about was and the Amaru complications that you're facing with Gabe. I think that there's an interesting kind of conflagration that could happen there. You know, like something could really grow out of that. That could be the Web3 version of Joe Rogan. You know, like it could really be that reciprocal,
that.
reiterative emergence of cooperation through different like idea mediums that um, that resonance with self and with other. At the same time, you're like participating
Mhm.
in a really felt way.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't agree more, and I think just being aware of projects that you mentioned. I mean, Sam and I have had these conversations. I think all of those absolutely fit into community development. And then what do we do with that? How do we better serve those communities? And like you said, and I don't know why this is, guys, and I'm a huge Minecraft player, and like I love the bees update. I think that was just such a cool thing that they did. But do I look like I have little wings? Like little
Okay,
like
Google.
bee like a
When did they
like
add bees to Minecraft?
what?
When did they add bees to
What?
Minecraft?
Come on, Sam.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But anyway, I was going to use the
We have
word.
the birds and the bees talk with you, Sam.
That was like 5 years ago, John. You're like,
It's one of my favorite updates. I love that. I love. The point is.
Played it
The
all
point
5
is.
years.
The point is. I was going to use the term cross pollinate
I
between
like
different.
it. Okay, I'll allow it.
communities.
I will
See, it
allow
was leading to something,
It was a
Sam.
lead
It was
up.
leading to something.
I'm sorry. I give you too hard of a time.
Anyhow,
Have
but
a
yeah, no, I think
primordial
that's a great point.
Yeah. All right. Anyone else have a question, or I'm gonna ask him the question that's been on my mind.
Well, Jay's frozen. He's
Oh,
run out of
no.
bandwidth.
Sorry about that. My computer literally crashed as soon as I said that.
Oh my gosh, Jay. What are we gonna do
Alright.
with you?
Well, I not much
We're
because I have
losing
a meeting.
viewership because of your computer crash.
Forgive me.
We need your sexy face back up here. No, okay.
I got a meeting coming up. All right, I'll talk to you gentlemen later.
Oh, of course. All right, Jay. Later. That always happens. He's always like the middle of something really important and epic is going on, and Jay's like, "I gotta run, bye," and he's just gone.
Typical Jay.
I wish we should like find a way to like soundbite every one of those that he's ever done.
And then clip them all together. Oh, anyways, got a
Yeah.
meeting. Bye. He's like 5 minutes late to stuff
Find
every
some,
time.
like, phrase that's the same every time. I'm sure there's like an inflection or a phrase or a
He
word.
does.
or
You
a-
can tell when he's about to leave.
Yeah.
You can
I
tell.
think he says "whelp," doesn't he? Or "whelp."
Anyways, it's anyways.
Anyways, yeah.
Anyways. And then
Anyways,
he's out. Then he's out.
And just stack them on top of each other. Anyways.
All right.
it's all different. It's
I'm
all
gonna
different.
ask you
Ed.
the question, John, that I didn't ask you at the Triba in person meetup, but I heard a stat when I was working with the P1 Open Metaverse gaming community. They were working with Tencent and like the Epic community for a while. But they
Sure.
are basically a game development community. They source developers, they train developers, they have a whole bunch of collaborative projects. And he told me, Samuel Martin runs it, he said their polls and the data shows that most gamers, like 80% of gamers, want nothing to do with crypto or NFTs. So being a gaming company, Omega Games, and in that a crypto gaming company, how do you justify that, or what do you make of that data?
So I've actually read some similar and maybe some of the same stats. So it's very interesting because this is why many gamers that play specific games like a Call of Duty or are playing Fortnite, there's already a system in place where it would change kind of their overall gaming experience. So like Fortnite's not going to make a port to having NFTs or play to earn or any cryptocurrency associated that I'm aware of, because they already have a play to earn style inside of the game where you can create your own skins, etc. So some of the basic conceptual pieces are there. And a lot of gamers also, with communities that are already kind of well entrenched in the storyline and lore, may not necessarily want to move to something new. Now, to that point, you're like, well, then why go into play to earn, blockchain? Why would we choose that as a place and not just do traditional game development and take 2D board game concepts and go there? Well, the first thing is we can and we are. So we're not Omega blockchain games. We do work with 2D concepts and regular concepts. What I'm interested in is how to move those concepts to using blockchain capability, because I do believe, as with, I think it was 3 or 4 months ago, Gala Games and Epic Games. Epic is Fortnite's publisher, and they're here in North Carolina. They're going to do a joint venture to try to solve and figure out just this next question. What is the future of blockchain tech in the gaming world? For me personally, I think NFTs and the utility of NFTs, that's actually something Jay and I are going to talk about on Friday, is really the future when it comes to players being able to house, track, and manage statistics better inside games, and buy, sell, and trade items in games that have provenance. I'd have to really go into some of those concepts and how that data tracking collects itself on a blockchain. But I think the initial reaction is that crypto is unstable, that crypto is volatile, which I would agree with potentially both of those pieces. I mean, the Solana network, where a lot of games have been created, is already experiencing a number of hacks, a number of slowdowns, system restarts, mainnet, breaches. So yeah, I'm not sure that. I'm not sure that blockchain can get ahead and can actually move past those challenges. Which, if I'm a gamer, I'm going to say, well, do I want to log in and play my favorite game and not be able to actually engage with the community?
Yeah, you basically would be connecting your game to the risk associated with the volatility there.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
then,
so when you have an Xbox or PlayStation, I can.
well, you
let me
can
just
keep going. Yeah, keep going on what your train of thought is.
Yeah, when you have an Xbox or PlayStation, even if you're accessing, a network associated with players, you have a physical item that's running your, side of the game, and it's a fairly stable operational piece. So you're not going to receive things, challenges like lag time or, data loss. If you have a high level gaming PC, you shouldn't receive that. I mean, certain, depending on whether you overclock it and you really burn out your system, you really shouldn't receive a lot of lag or data loss. Blockchain could have some of that. There is a possibility for that because there's some unstable systems. The last thing I'll say about that stat is why there's and I think this connects to our conversation tonight, is why there's a concern or kind of a disinterest, is crypto has a high barrier of entry from a price perspective, and there's really not very large communities associated with any existing concepts. I believe that will change, and it will change rapidly in the next 12 months. I think there's going to be a successful some sort of port or new game that will be a flagship. I think Epic and I think Gala are going to figure that out together. When you see a big company like that make a foray, I mean, you just have to follow the money and know that that's where they're going. So they're going to come up with something cool, and then they're gonna deliver it well. They're going to use the right system, and people are going to say, "Hey, it's not about whether this is blockchain tech. It's like we all use cell phones today. We don't even really know how they work anymore, but they're certainly not the bag phones of the 80s, right? So when that clunkiness goes away, it'll just port itself over, and then you'll have a host and stream of, concepts that will move themselves into that space. So why I chose this is because I didn't want to make a company or design another company or build another company that was only going to work on current things today. Omega's gaming track for what we're looking at is in 3 to 5 years being the dominant thought leadership company that understands and knows how to do it, because we were the first ones doing it, or one of the first companies out there that was finding, vetting, and managing projects with Web3 potential.
I think that what I'm most interested in is potential for like XR development with all of what you're saying. So like how basically, so you know what the four games are? Have you heard of those?
Does he know what the 4 games are?
I can't remember who I know people from anymore, man.
Well, that's funny.
or what else they know. I need a map like Jay's or something. But the life is a game, so like, why don't we treat it like one? But life, I also think of like what Triba's doing here, business, like a capital B business, just a business of being, like doing, like
minding your business.
Yeah, there's business and there's busyness. I think that most jobs offer busyness, change for token.
Absolutely.
So like why don't we collapse it all together and like be responsible for our own interaction with like world and whatnot? And I think having that data and that functionality would be something that people are scared of like digging into, you know? So like people are like, I don't want to deal with NFTs or crypto because um and Robert Pirsig says something in the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance about people being classic or romantic minded. And some people will just let their faucet drip. They don't want to think about the problem that it like, you know, indicates, you know, the whole technological problem underlying that annoying romantic drip, drip, drip. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity for tools to be created that allow people to like play around with that without being
Absolutely.
scared of like being out of their depth, you know.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, another huge piece of why I wanted to be involved in this side of gaming as it develops is as an artist, as somebody who really enjoys the artistic side of game development. I believe the blockchain is going to massively explode the opportunity for artists and people who have ideas to get into game production because your barrier to entry is going to be very low. I mean, when Halo comes out, the Halo 1, nobody has the infrastructure to be able to develop on that system, and it required a massive entity to just put all that effort in, and backed and delivered on the Xbox system. I mean, Bungie Studios was a fantastic example of that. Now you look at, games that pop up on Steam. I was having a conversation about Stray, a couple weeks ago. It's a cool little concept. And I was like, why would they not add a Web3 component where every single cat in the game can be an NFT that you can own in your wallet and customize what the cat looks like? Well, now you build a community around the fact that the NFT is part of this Stray community that's connected somewhere on a Discord where people can say, hey, this is what my cat looks like in my version of that game. Well, now it's not just a multiplayer option. Now it's actually taking a single player version of the game and creating a multiplayer community outside of the game. Where now you can say, well, I could sell all of these in game items or external items to somebody who wants to put a hat on their cat. I mean, for lack of a better term, right? Isn't the Cat in the Hat one of like the biggest cultural phenomena ever? So when you're taking something like an NFT, which then sits on someone's phone, right? Now that game is connected in a real way outside of them playing simply on their screen.
Yeah.
Something as simple as that concept is available for almost any gaming concept out there to create customization and community outside of just the internal playing system. And I use that as an example because I'm like, hey, if anybody's got an idea like that or even has a game that they've produced that's 3D or even 2D, you can create a Web3 property and associate it. And now you're making it easy for people to engage and say, hey, this is something really cool that I have. One of the things that and I'll connect this to is that Omega is building a membership program associated with Omega Games. When this Omega membership is going to allow you to be a part of a community where you get preferred access with businesses in other communities for events or for paid events or live events or for some sort of experience, right? There's a fellow that I know who has an esports academy, and you can rent time to play all these different games on systems you couldn't build yourself. It's an awesome thing. I said, dude, why don't we work together to drive people into your business when they're traveling across the country because they've got this Omega NFT. Now they're part of that membership community, and now they can have access to your place because now they know it's already a vetted system. So the gamification of even people's travel, of community development, I mean, it's not just about, oh, how is, a big system like, a Fortnite player community? Yeah, they got 100-something million players, of course. Right. But how are they going to move that? Hard. But can they do it with like these sub communities? Absolutely.
And I think that
8 billion players, right?
Is it that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah, and the way that it's gone is people have. Oh wow, I'm echoing now. Okay, I think it's good. The people used that idea of NFTs and abused it to the point where they basically tried to manipulate the marketplace with bots and fake people to build hype, and they started paying people, just to generate that hype. But at its core, the best NFT projects have always been the ones that provide real world value. I think the biggest way they do that is as an access pass, or sort of like a subscription, but instead of buying like a subscription, you're buying access to that season or the content that's being created. Very much like Epic did with Fortnite and Rocket League. And they were very successful with it. They just made it a season pass. And if you purchase that pass anytime in that season, you access exclusive content that then you cannot get if you did not participate in that season. It's just like bragging rights, and there's no market internally to sell them and make money, but people are crazy about it and spend millions, billions on in-game stuff. The game's free to play. The whole Fortnite game is free to play. Like, the best game that everyone wants to play is free. It's just, it's mind-blowing, but that's the way that people do it now. It's like you provide so much value that people want to go deeper. They want to explore the universe and the community more. They want to boast and have something to show off. I think status and experience are way more important to players than anything else in the gaming world, and that's kind of the direction it's going with these projects. Like I'm sad that Cardano Cities or Solana Cities went under, because they basically realized, oh, we can't just shill this. It has to be like a lot of real world value. I was telling them that the whole time. And they were like, oh, this is too much work. Like, we'd actually have to go get investors and stuff.
Say that
like,
in the first meeting.
Are these meetings recorded?
Bullshit on it.
Yes.
Huh.
Thanks, Laura. You can also ask questions in chat. You did say stuff like that, Chris, and I think you were right, like, all along.
It's you kind of get a sense of like the way people, their mannerisms and their speech when they're very good at hiding that they're talking like that. Like, you hear it in like salesmen and like especially like pyramid scheme type of stuff. The ones that are good at it are really good at hiding that that's what they're doing, but you get a sense for the pattern.
Yeah, you got to really be careful with the crypto stuff.
Learned or just natural. Some people it's probably natural, but
it's definitely very natural for a lot of people. They just see the opportunity. They're like, oh, I could just make money off this. They don't really think about the consequences of their actions. And I think that happened with a ton of projects. So people lost faith in NFTs, and it crashed the market. But at its core, it's these sub-communities. It's millions of different blockchains. Not really about Ethereum and Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's a giant shill game now. So it's like, really, it's much more about like, oh, there's a bunch of small currencies that these communities are using to superpower them and allow for real world investment and conversion rates. You just have to have a pool of people who have investment in a community and an idea to be able to cash in and out at some point. You don't need one person to hold all this equity and cash out on their community. Then you've lost the community. It falls apart.
It's weird to think of like the like convergence of all these like separate ideas I've had over the last 5-10 years, of like seeing like how many other people have a lot of similar ideas. There must be some need that we're looking to fulfill. It gives you faith in like having faith that what you seeking you like.
Well, I couldn't agree more. I think a good example of what you're talking about, Sam, is that blockchain and blockchain tech. I tell people, look, if you want to invest in Bitcoin or Ethereum, that's totally fine. Those are speculative assets. They're always going to be that way. It's like doing Forex. I mean, it's a currency exchange. That's on you. But blockchain technology is about creating decentralized peer-to-peer networks. That's really what it's about. Blockchain tech has existed in the 70s. I mean, the United States government's been using one to back up all the NSA files for a long time. I mean, it's not that the technology's been there. It just wasn't deployed in a decentralized manner, nor was the coding capability available so that you could deploy your own if you wanted to do that very quickly. I'll give you an example. There's a friend of mine here in Raleigh who's developed a competitor to Upwork specifically for Web3 developers and designers. And the goal is that they're using CELO, which is a USD one-to-one peg token, so that they can have an internal payment system if they want to that gets them either access to something, or they can. It's like the Upwork tokens that you get. I mean, Upwork does the same thing with credits. So you're just using something that has a little bit more real-world capability. But again, his whole community, and I think you may have met him, Sam, at the Tribe event, is that Flan is about that. That's what he's trying to do, to specifically serve that community, so that when somebody like me wants to go to a vetted community of 100 plus designers and developers who understand Unreal, Unity, Web3, NFT creation, and there are people who do that, then I already know I can already trust that, because that's what that community's focused on.
Right.
And that helps them find that work. So, the whole blockchain crypto, I mean, I don't think it's really going to matter. I think all of these different games are going to have their own tokenization.
That's
and
what
it's
I was
just going to
gonna
be
ask
like,
you as a follow-up
yeah.
question was, do you think that each game should have its own tokenized economy within it, or should it be linked to an external blockchain like Ethereum, just say, or Solana or something?
A really great question. So right now, before there's a shift to one-to-one parity with, let's say, the US dollar, some way, if you're going to buy an in-game item, most people are getting paid right now in their personal bank accounts in cash, right? USD. So the upside of creating, let's say, a gaming community or a gaming system that you have on a highly vetted, large blockchain that currently exists, it just provides value, just value to your users, because it's easy for them to do a currency transfer. There are systems like that we advocate for using. You can see this on our website, but a system like Stardust that accepts just straight USD payments on the front end for users, so they don't have to worry about what cryptocurrency they have in a wallet. It's not wallet based. They can buy items with USD. The internal system is Solana. So like, I see all the back end stuff in Solana. We use the Solana network to transfer an NFT to someone's in-game wallet. They don't have to do a MetaMask or anything like that. So that creates a gaming community around that, but they're able to use their regular dollars and cents to get in. Do we have, for one of our concepts, yeah, we have two currencies that are actually, yes, Solana-based currencies that will have in-game specific capabilities. So you would have to buy some of that to do some things in the game. And that would just help players to be more invested and work on play to earn, etc.
Right.
Because that has external value. So it really depends on what the concept is. But an NFT project, like I said, could be as simple as, hey, creating a bunch of skins that, for your Web3 concept, allows people to interact and exchange and buy and sell outside of you controlling that network. That's the biggest thing, is like, you want to set a 3% royalty on the sale of this NFT forever, and players can add them and change them and sell them and make money off them. Great. I think that is a huge incentive and upside for gaming that hasn't existed previously, because it's always been a set amount, not a royalty-based system, which the blockchain allows you to put in place and code into the smart contract.
So it almost, if you're looking at it, there's two sides. There's like the itemization, purchasing, and then there's the token access, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I feel like tokenized access is the gaming industry's, like, we're giving them tools. I think crypto and NFTs they're just the tools for what we've always been doing, what we've always known is kind of the better way to do things, but it's just the infrastructure there. My question is, does it need to be on a blockchain network for most of these things? Like, for a small indie game developer, is it beneficial to them to put their whole payment system on a integrate it with a network right off the bat? Or would it be better to build their internal economy and then link it up with a system after that?
Yeah, it depends. Because some capabilities that the blockchain allows for won't be available if you don't incorporate that into the build. But like I said, for an indie game company that's going to do most of their payments in USD and may have investors that are not, crypto interested or crypto savvy, then you're certainly going to have to use standard systems to just simply do payments. I mean, you can buy stuff on the Omega site with Stripe. We're not moving away from Stripe and not saying, well, we're only selling things in Bitcoin or Ethereum. So I think that your traditional systems will always be there. The blockchain technology, if you allow that to be built into the subsystems of your game, will give players the opportunity to buy, sell, and trade in the future in a way that you won't be able to if you've. And I'll give you an example. In the music business, artists have always gotten, let's say, a royalty payment for, let's say, airplay or time or whatever, but the songs are usually owned by the record label or by the internal company that has that control of their contract. You see this with like Taylor Swift or like other artists that are suing to get control of their catalog, which is the true IP. In the blockchain, if you deployed your song on the blockchain and you're Kanye West, and you wanted to put in that every time that song was played, you got paid 3% because somebody had to pay $1 to listen to that song. Well, the record company doesn't make that much
to listen to that song, though. That sounds outrageous when I have Spotify and for free. I can listen to any song. And Kanye West is on there. And I like Kanye West. I'm not going to go listen to his one song for $1 just because.
But I'm saying the aggregator, Spotify, would be paying him that.
Do we see that happening yet? Like, is there? I'm sure there's got to be some MVPs. Like, how effective is that? I need to see data on, like, yeah, that's an effective revenue model for content creators. Because so far, all I've seen it pay out as is that token access. Like, you have an access to listen to or be part of more exclusive stuff, like events and things we talked about. More engaged interaction, and that in turn turns into, you know, I'm willing to pay premium dollar for bragging rights that I'm in this club or I'm in this whatever.
Well, the point of it is that the theory of cutting out the middleman and the creator getting paid directly for IP creation only exists in the blockchain if the creator understands how to deploy that. You're always going to have an aggregator who might be involved as a reseller. I mean, OpenSea makes money on reselling NFTs that people put up there, even though they're the original creator. But that royalty percentage really comes down to IP ownership. Anywhere in the creative space, it theoretically removes the necessity and capability for a record label or somebody who gates your access to people who want your product. So yeah, Sam, if they worked with you and had a really awesome community that was willing to pay for their music, just like if I go down and pay $5 for a live show somewhere, you know, on a Friday night, and it's a local band that I love, yeah, that bar is allowing there to be a host, you know, for me to come, and that's the venue. But that artist is going to get paid if I go up and give them a tip directly. There's nobody that can stop that interaction. And that's what we're trying to get to with even in-game content creators like in Fortnite. You can do and create your own skins. I want to up-level it to the point where if somebody buys that from you and then trades that to somebody else, you still get paid again and again and again and again, and it's not one-time transaction. Now it's tracked back for forever, for the lifetime of that creative piece, because that smart contract is always going to say that that original wallet that created that piece of content gets paid a certain amount on every transaction that ever occurs.
I have a question.
I may never have heard it explained that well before, and I can't believe I've captured it.
Does this kind of... I'm kind of feeling in my head like this kind of general gist of sense of a conundrum occurring with the economy in general.
In general, yeah.
As things begin to merge, most tokens, aren't they going to be kind of like forced to be valued like one-to-one, like unless it's some sort of like I guess exclusivity type of token, like you were here on this date at this event, so you got a token for it or something like that. Those will be different, but like things that get turned into economic, like tokens, aren't they going to be kind of all like it's all the same eventually?
Yeah, it's a great question. When you have currencies, cryptocurrencies, I mean, eventually down the line, yeah, they'll probably all achieve some sort of parity based on their exclusivity of the token mints. So if there's only, 100 million of a token minted and someone is an owner of that and that has value, and there's, billions of another one, and that's valued in parity one-to-one, certain ratios. Not with non-fungible tokens that have IP or artistic IP associated with them, meaning a Picasso or a Van Gogh that's on a piece of canvas. Yeah, canvas costs $25. I can go to Michael's right now, which is a store here in North Carolina. I can buy the same canvas. Now, there might be some differences if it's 100 years old. That's a little bit more expensive. The glass on the painting might be a little bit more expensive. But why the painting might be worth millions of dollars is because of the provenance of the individual who created it. It's what the painting might display. And then also the third and really the most important thing is what is it with someone else? If everybody in society didn't think that Picasso or Van Gogh were really in any way attractive to want in their house, it'd be worth zero. I mean, I could go and do it tomorrow, repaint the same painting. Why isn't it worth any money? Because it's me who created it, not the original painter.
Yeah.
So the reason why I see the blockchain, NFTs specifically, cryptocurrencies, I can go on for that for a long time. We're interested, especially with Omega, in how NFTs, that non-fungible token, where you can associate some sort of imagery or IP. And again, people are like, well, they're PNGs. I'm like, I don't care. If I make a PNG of a Van Gogh, it's not the same thing as the IP that it took to create that. So the IP that's associated with that someone can associate a royalty payment forever. I mean, it will, and yeah, I mean, do
It's like
big
making
companies
a great movie, right?
Yeah.
People can rip
Yeah.
off the movie. People are going to rip off the movie.
Yeah.
But they're also going to make money every time that movie's played.
That's the key, is that artists and creators have the ability to get infinite royalty payments on initially minting that specific piece of, I'll just say IP, because it could be anything. It could be visual media, audio media. It doesn't matter, which completely eliminate, theoretically, moving forward, theoretically meaning it can, theoretically, if we're able to move past that, any third-party system that has gated access in the past to communities that want to consume that content. And I mean, it's already happening, guys. I mean,
right.
it's how OnlyFans functions. I mean, that's really what it is. It's ungated access. Now they receive, a percentage of it, but really, if you wanted to take that all away, direct peer-to-peer interaction is where it's headed for content creators. If they want to be market themselves, which is a secondary thing. You can pay for that service.
That's the
but
question
you're not
becomes, how do you market yourself? Which is why I think the seed method is becoming so vital. Like, because
Absolutely.
you basically
100%.
are realizing, okay, we can't shill, we can't BS bot our way to the top. You have to prove yourself to a real group of people. So how do you be authentic online? How do you open up and engage? That's really what we talk about in Triba, and that's why I'm starting the community marketing club. It's actually going to be a club for everybody who's interested in growing their brand or their business. They get to participate in weekly discussions, get group consults, access to special channels where we're posting tools and resources, and then I'll be updating everybody on, changes to Discord, changes to the marketing and environment, and it'll be a great time. I think we'll all have a great time.
Sounds to me that what would help make all of this kind of break out the way those of us who observe the functionality wish it would, is that we're missing a tool that allows people to publish things with the right properties in order to ensure that they're just automatically being, automatically operating in their own self best interest, like without having to obsess over the details.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't agree more, and I think one of the biggest challenges, and I talked about this with Sam at the Triba event, was and is that education around blockchain technology, the ability to deploy assets on a smart contract is the lowest that it will ever be, because I think it will expand, but it is very minimal right now among most people in even the tech communities.
Yeah.
And that when that changes, and I think what you said is, do we have a tool? We have the tools. The interfaces and the development and the user experience is poor at this point. I mean, some have tried to do it a little bit better, but it is gnarly right now.
So
and once
what
that
I'm
changes, it'll
thinking,
make a difference.
Right.
I kind of, so you know how they have what is the what does SaaS stand for again? Software
Services,
as a service.
services. software service as a service. I thought SaaS was
software as a service.
Software service as a service.
Like you make a software that people then sign up for as a service.
Yeah.
And so
Yes.
I'm thinking that we should look into service as a software, like the integration of what it means to have service be iteratable as software. So like protocols, habit, perception, like interactions, like an API kind of that is just a natural language API maybe would be a good way to think about it. So people can like figure out in their own language, their own processing capabilities, how to interact with that.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, there's some companies that are trying to do it and they're working on it. I obviously interact with a lot of these. Part of like what we're doing with Omega is helping individuals, companies make those better decisions about what existing tools to use. Because I'm not talking smart contract language. I mean, I can if we really want to go there. But what I'm talking about is what's the best blockchain for you to use for your project? What's the best? I should use Nifty Gateway, Rarible, OpenSea, SolSea. I mean, Solinart. I mean, that's just 5 that I named there where you can buy NFTs. What's the best one for you to use for your project? Where again, from a traditional marketing perspective, because that's the other company that I have, how do you find the right customers and users? And maybe that's deploying it in Triba and just saying, hey, why don't you go do, a some sort of, workshop with Sam and the people in Triba and serve that community, because those are the individuals who are going to want to buy this project. And maybe that NFT is just based on the fact that they showed up to your event or whatever it is. However you're trying to incentivize serving your community better, the concepts of how we basically bridge that gap between the artist or the creator and then the individuals they want to reach and where that service comes in, I just believe the blockchain creates the most efficient, rapid, and most direct system to be able to do that in ways that you couldn't do before. I mean, talking about going from the printing press where now you can mass produce books, we're talking about going from everything digital to direct peer-to-peer. And it will have VR capabilities as well. I mean, that's probably 5 to 10 years out, but it's moving there. And that will just add another host of options.
Yeah, I think having I think building things now that are physical even should be done with keeping things in mind that there's potentially like super intelligent AI around the corner, or potentially a discovery of alien life around the corner, or potentially the discovery of metaphysical realities beyond our wildest imagination around the corner. I think that should be taken into consideration with everything being done today, for sure. And I think that the almost like you need a choice broker, kind of like like in your ear, like a little devil and angel or something. I don't know, but like I think solving a real world problem would be the perfect like opportunity to like set that technology up and that ideation up as something that would take off.
Love it.
Are you part of the 4Games Holistic Living Academy? I don't know why it's called that, but it's some of the people that are Sam's in it. Some of the people that have been involved off and on over the years, looking to workshop a lot of like use cases and stuff for games.
It could be because I've chatted with everybody on the 4Games team, and like Garrett, and Sam, and John, and I mean, everybody. So
who came up with the 4Games? Who came up with the 4Games idea?
Jamie Combs.
Jamie Combs.
If you go into SMG, so under self mastery and Triba, there's a cat. Here, I'll just relink it actually.
I'll pull it up on the stream too. There's actually every Wednesday we do self mastery.
No, hold on. I need to like learn how to actually like send an invite that I've gotten. Like, how do I forward an invite to a different copy?
You got to copy the invite to that channel via create invite.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, wait.
This is all on here, and then there's actually some threads. Oh, there's no threads in this one. There's There's threads in the library.
Try this in
Yeah, here you go.
That's not very well organized, but
The
I'm gonna put it in co-working chat.
We are working on this. This is an exclusive section for only people who have that role. So you have to be interested in self-mastery.
Yeah, he is. Not to speak for you, but obviously, like, you are.
Absolutely. Sam, you can give me that. You can give me that.
He has it. Okay. I put it in co-working chat, I think. Now that sends you to the message. I wanted to copy the invite. Dang it.
Here, I'll do it. I'll do it. And you want it in co-working?
Yeah.
I'll put it in co-working.
How you did it is the problem.
The library.
No. Oh. No, you're linking to the channel. I want.
There's no channel. Invite. There's no channel. That is the channel.
You just.
There's no invite to a channel. There's only links.
There's an invite to another server that the Garrett shared in SM General for the.
I got it. I'm in.
Yeah, I want. Or just go to SM General and scroll up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll put it in the Twitch chat too.
But how do you copy that invite?
You just select it and then paste it. Look, I just pasted it. I copied the text, the actual https://discord.gg/tjaqauz.
This is real Web 2 stuff, guys.
This is real Web.
It's only given me the copy message link option. How did you copy the? Did you like?
I just highlighted it. I clicked and dragged.
Okay, wait. Let me look at your screen. Can you screen share that?
Yeah. Anyways, I want to wrap up this discussion because it is after 6 now. We kept John late, but we do try to respect everybody's time. If you go down here, you can check out further some of the self-mastery stuff, and definitely go check out playomega.games. I'll put it in the chat, the Twitch chat as well. I have all the clips in here, but check out playomega.games, and if you're in Discord, you can obviously directly reach out to our man of the hour, John Bianchi. Thank you, John, for joining us today and for sharing.
Thanks, guys. It's fun.
Yeah, this was awesome, man. We actually had like 6 viewers at the peak here on Twitch, so if you're on Twitch, just give us a shout out in the chat. We're on our way to affiliate. You can see that little follower goal up there. We got 35 of 40. Come on, just a few more follows. Why really not?
I'm really interested in how many of those Twitch watchers are in Triba or not.
I really am too. I want to know. Yeah. You can post if you're watching. They seem to be lurkers, which is all right, but you know, we'll get to know them.
Yeah, but
we have a way of drawing you in, getting to know you. Chris will do his research. He's gonna scare people off.
This was cool, though. Thanks, Sam. I really appreciate the time. This was great. I mean, I could talk about this kind of stuff. I mean, forever.